We're grateful for each and every one of you. Let us know where in the world you're tuning in from. We'd love to hear from you in the comments. Let's begin. I knew something was wrong the second Celeste started waking up earlier than me. Not to make breakfast, not to work out, not to read, but to leave the house before sunrise. Every single day. She'd glide past me with makeup already done, perfume freshly sprayed, hair styled like she was heading somewhere she wanted to be admired. She'd smile too politely and say, "Big morning ahead. Don't wait up." That was the kind of sentence that doesn't belong in a marriage. Meanwhile, Lucas Hale, was living my regular routine, opening the repair shop, handling customers, wiping grease off my hands, drinking cheap coffee, try to ignore the feeling that my wife was already living a life that didn't include me. But today had its own strange electricity. Celeste texted me out of nowhere while I was tightening bolts on a Dodge truck. "We should maybe take a break. I think living apart could help me figure things out." Just like that. Like requesting extra napkins at a restaurant. I stared at the message with the wrench still in my hand, heart thudding, not out of heartbreak, but out of confirmation. The signs had been stacking for months. The secret of phone habits, the sudden nights with coworkers, the giggles she tried to swallow when her screen lit up, the way she guarded her purse like it held a bomb. She wasn't looking for space. She already gave that space to someone else. I wiped my hands on a towel, grabbed my phone, and calmly typed, "If that's what you want, okay. No begging, no chasing, no questions." She replied 5 minutes later with a long paragraph about personal growth and clarity and not losing each other, but rediscovering ourselves. I didn't read past the first sentence. That night she packed quickly, barely meeting my eyes. She said it would only be a little while, but the way she avoided touching me said otherwise. Then she left our home with a suitcase full and a heart already empty. But here's the twist she didn't expect. While she was leaving me for clarity, I had already begun gathering the truth. Her best friend, Jenna, had quietly told me something 2 weeks earlier, something she felt guilty keeping to herself. "Lucas, I don't know how to say this, but Celeste isn't where she says she is most nights." I didn't ask for details. I didn't react. I simply listened. Jenna mentioned dinners with a coworker, long drives to the other side of town, hotel receipts in her bag, late-night phone calls that didn't sound like office talk. I didn't act then. I was waiting for Celeste to make her move, and she finally had. So the day after she left, I did something unexpected, something she would never see coming. I decided to live, not out of spite, but out of justice. I showered, shaved, wore a clean denim jacket, and drove to a weekend vintage car festival, the only place that ever made me feel like myself. There, I met Sienna, a graphic design student photographing classic engines for a school project. Young, mid-20s, bright brown eyes, soft laugh. She wasn't flirting. She was just genuinely warm. She asked if she could take a photo of me next to a restored Camaro I had worked on years ago. Her words were simple. "You look like someone who finally exhaled after holding his breath too long." I didn't expect it, but the moment froze something in me. The moment where pain turned into clarity. She sent me the photo. I posted it. A normal picture. No woman leaning against me. No captions. Just me smiling. A real smile Celeste hadn't seen in a long time. I didn't expect chaos. But 20 minutes later, my phone began buzzing nonstop. Calling. Celeste. I ignored it. She called again. Then again. And again. Finally, I picked up. Her voice didn't sound calm this time. It sounded cornered. "Lucas, who is that girl in your picture?" But what she really meant was, "How dare you look happy without me? How dare you move on faster than I planned? How dare you disrupt the game I thought I was winning?" And that's when I realized. Her panic was proof. The truth was finally shaking her. My revenge had already begun, and I hadn't even lifted a finger. The moment Celeste's voice cracked through the phone, something inside me shifted. Not satisfaction, not triumph, but a cold, steady certainty. For months she had watched me fade, shrink, doubt myself, blame myself for the distance she created. Now, for the first time, she was the one scrambling. "Lucas, answer me," she snapped. "Who is that girl? Don't play stupid. Don't you dare." I leaned against the hood of a car at the festival, letting the wind carry some of her anger away before I replied. "It's a photo someone took at the event," I said calmly. "Why does it matter? Why does it?" "Lucas, we're married." "Are we?" I asked, voice even. Because you walked out 2 nights ago, saying you needed to rediscover yourself. She went silent, but I could hear her breathing hard, like she'd run up a flight of stairs. Lucas, you posting that picture is disrespectful, she said, forcing her voice to a softer tone. People will think you're moving on. I nearly laughed. People. She meant him. The man she didn't think I knew about. Then maybe you shouldn't worry about how it looks, I replied. You're the one who needed space, remember? There was a long pause, too long, before she said, more quietly, can we meet tonight? Just talk. Talk. That was her emergency button. Every time she slipped up, every time she crossed a line, every time she wanted to reset the board, she used that word. Not tonight, I said. I've got plans. She sucked in a breath. Plans with her? I didn't respond. I didn't have to. Her jealousy was answering itself. Lucas, don't play games with me, she pleaded. Please. But she had played games with me for months, secretly, quietly, confidently, and now she felt even a hint of distance from me. She was losing her grip. I finally ended the call with a simple, take care, Celeste. And I didn't wait for her reply. Driving home that evening, I thought about everything that had led here. The late nights, the sudden showers when she came home smelling unfamiliar, the way she angled her phone away from me, even while texting, the new lingerie she bought but never wore around me, the extra lunch breaks that somehow lasted 3 hours. It wasn't a question anymore. I knew what she had been doing, but knowing wasn't enough. Not for what she put me through. I needed the truth, not rumors, not assumptions. And that's when fate handed me something sharp enough to cut through the final layer of her lies. Her best friend Jenna texted me, Lucas, I'm really sorry. There's something you should see. When I opened the attachment, my hands didn't shake. My heart didn't pound. I had already numbed myself long before this moment. It was a photo, a grainy one, a hotel lobby, late at night. But the two people in it were unmistakably clear. Celeste and a man I'd never met. Walking close, laughing, his hand hovering at the small of her back like he'd touched it before. She wasn't rediscovering herself. She was rediscovering someone else. The anger didn't rush me. It settled in like a steady heartbeat, a determination, a quiet storm preparing its path. After staring at the photo for a long moment, I texted Jenna back. Thank you. Keep this between us. She replied instantly. I'm so sorry, Lucas. I should have told you earlier, but I didn't need apologies. I needed preparation. The next morning, I made breakfast like nothing had changed. Made my bed, opened the windows, cleaned the kitchen. The house felt lighter, like the walls themselves were relieved. I finally knew. I spent the afternoon at my shop, threw myself into work, fixed a transmission, and took a few walk-ins. And with every customer I helped, every bolt I tightened, I felt my mind sharpening. This wasn't going to be petty revenge. Not the kind she expected. Not the kind she could twist into a story to make herself a victim. No. My revenge would be clean, silent, and perfectly timed. Around sunset, while I was stacking tools, my phone buzzed again. Celeste. I didn't answer. Later, another buzz. A text this time. I'm outside. Please talk to me. I walked out into the warm glow of the fading day and found her standing by her car, arms crossed, eyes puffy from crying, or pretending to. She took 2 steps toward me, her voice cracking like she was on the verge of breaking. Lucas, please, can we fix this? I looked at her for a long moment. She didn't seem like the confident woman who walked out days earlier. She didn't seem like the woman giggling over texts that weren't mine. She didn't seem like the woman in that hotel photo. She seemed cornered. Why now? I asked quietly. Why are you suddenly so desperate to fix things? Because I don't like seeing you with someone else. There it was. The truth wasn't that she loved me. The truth was that she didn't want me to have what she was taking for herself. You didn't seem to mind living apart, I said. That was different, she snapped. I needed clarity. Did you find it? I asked. Her throat bobbed. She didn't answer. And that's when her phone lit up. A name flashed across the screen. Not feminine. Not family. Not work-related. But masculine. And far too familiar. The same name Jenna had mentioned. The same man from a photo. And Celeste didn't realize I saw it. But this time, I didn't react. I didn't ask. I simply stepped back and said, we'll talk another time. Then I walked inside and closed the door. Not loudly. Not dramatically. just firmly enough to let her know she no longer dictated the pace. Behind that door, she was still calling my name, her voice cracking into panic. But she didn't know, not yet, that the real revenge was already in motion. And when it hit, she would never see it coming. The night I closed the door on Celeste, I didn't sleep. Not because I was hurting, but because I finally had clarity sharper than any truth she had ever given me. Her lies weren't guesses anymore. They were confirmed, visible, documented. But revenge, true revenge, requires patience. So while Celeste paced outside my house, calling my name like suddenly she cared, I walked deeper into the living room and sat down with the hotel photo Jenna sent me earlier. There she was, my wife, laughing like she hadn't laughed with me in a long time, standing close to a man who clearly knew how to hold her attention. His name was Colton Shaw, 37, married once, divorced now, worked at the same marketing firm Celeste joined last year. Jenna had given me more details the next morning. He's been flirting with her since day one. They've been having these team meetings outside the office. I never liked it. My jaw didn't clench. My pulse didn't spike. I felt something calmer. The calm you feel when you finally see all the pieces of a puzzle that once tore you apart. And I quietly began arranging my next moves. The following week, I played the role of a man who wasn't shaken. Because truthfully, I wasn't. At the shop, customers came and went. I laughed with a kid who wanted his bike tires fixed. I helped an older couple change a battery. Everyone noticed I seemed lighter, freer, alive. Only one person didn't like that. Celeste. She showed up unannounced 3 times that week. Once with coffee, once with homemade cookies she never baked before, and once just to check in. Each time, I kept the conversation short, polite but distant, and the more I pulled away, the more desperate she became. On the 4th visit, she found me adjusting the hood of a pickup and whispered, "Lucas, I made a mistake." I didn't look at her. I didn't give her the relief of eye contact. "Mistakes are things you accidentally do," I said calmly. "Yours were choices." She blinked fast, fighting tears. When I didn't comfort her, she exhaled shakily and tried a different tactic. "Look, you're hurting, okay? I get it. But this photo you posted, this girl you're entertaining, can you stop for a second and think about how it affects us?" That word again. Us. The us. She abandoned the moment someone else held her attention. "There is no us right now," I replied. "You chose that." Her lips trembled. "You're punishing me." "No," I said, wiping my hands with a cloth. "I'm learning." And with that, I walked past her. Her voice cracked behind me. "Lucas, please. I'm trying." But she wasn't trying for love. She was trying for control. She wanted the version of me who waited at home while she played with her freedom. She wanted the man who swallowed doubts. She wanted the husband she could return to after tasting attention elsewhere. But that man didn't exist anymore. A few days later, life handed me the perfect opening. I was at the register of my shop when a woman walked in, mid-30s, sharp features, business casual attire, and confidence in her stride. "Are you Lucas Hale?" she asked. "Yes, ma'am. I'm Ava Shaw," she said, adjusting her purse. "Colton's sister." Now that got my attention. She explained everything quickly. How she had seen Colton acting strange for months, how she suspected he was involved with someone already in a relationship, and how she stumbled upon a message on his laptop confirming it. "You were the name mentioned," she said gently. "I wanted to make sure you knew." I steadied myself before replying. "I knew, but thank you for confirming." She nodded with sympathy. "You seem strangely calm." "I decided not to bleed for someone who isn't worth it," I said simply. A faint smile touched her face. "Good, because you deserve someone who actually chooses you." Then Ava did something unexpected. She handed me a folder. Inside were screenshots, messages, plans, reservations, meetups, everything I would need, not to confront Celeste, but to let her confront herself. "This is yours to decide what to do with," Ava said. "But be careful. Colton doesn't handle being exposed very well." I thanked her and walked her out. And that night, sitting alone at the dining table, I knew exactly how my revenge would unfold. Not loud, not messy, not with shouting, accusations, or drama, but with precision. 2 days later, I finally texted Celeste. "We should talk. Thursday, 7 p.m. Her response came in seconds. Yes, I'll be there." "Thank you, Lucas." But she didn't know what she was walking into. Because I didn't choose the house. I didn't choose a restaurant. I didn't choose somewhere private where she could twist the story. I chose her favorite park, the same one where she'd once said she loved honesty and open skies. Ironically fitting, when she arrived, she rushed toward me like she expected an embrace. I didn't move. She froze at the distance I kept between us. "Lucas, what's wrong?" she whispered. I held her gaze with a calm, emotionless clarity. "You want the truth?" I asked. She nodded quickly. "Yes, anything. Just talk to me." I reached into my jacket pocket, pulled out the first photo, the hotel lobby. Her face drained of color. Then the screenshots, reservations, messages, hotel plans, everything. Her hand flew to her mouth. She staggered back a step. "Lucas, I can explain." "No," I said quietly. "You can't." She tried again. "It wasn't what it looked like." "It was exactly what it looked like," I replied. Seeing her crumble wasn't satisfying. What was satisfying was the silence that followed. The silence of truth finally standing between us. Then I said the words she never expected to hear. "Celeste, I'm done being the man you hurt. But I'm not here to fight you." Her eyes widened in confusion. "What do you mean?" I took a small breath. "I mean, the real consequences coming. Not from me. From the people you lied to. From the life you tried to juggle. From the man you trusted too much. Because the next step of my revenge, the part she never saw coming, was already moving toward her. And when it arrived, she wouldn't be ready." Celeste stood frozen in the park, tears streaking down her cheeks, her breath shaking like she'd been hit by a cold wind she never prepared for. But I wasn't done. Not with anger. Not with cruelty. With truth. "Lucas, please," she whispered, voice breaking. "Just tell me what you want from me." I looked at her quietly. For the first time, I wasn't seeing my wife. I was seeing a stranger who had finally been caught in her own maze. "I don't want anything," I said. "I just want this to end cleanly." Her head snapped up. "End? What do you mean end?" No, Lucas, we can go to counseling. We can fix this. I made a mistake." "You made months of mistakes," I said calmly. "Not one." She swallowed hard, desperation clawing through her voice. "I left because I was confused. I left because I thought you didn't care anymore." I raised a brow. "Does confusion normally check into hotels at midnight, Celeste?" Her knees wobbled. She had no argument left. But the real hit was still coming. "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" she whispered. "Why didn't you confront me then?" "Because I wanted you to tell the truth on your own," I said. "You didn't." She shook her head, wiping tears with shaking hands. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Please, Lucas, don't do this. Don't leave me." And that's when the final piece of my plan walked into the park. A man's voice called out from behind her. "Celeste." She spun around, and her whole body went stiff. Colton, standing 20 feet away, shoulders tense, breathing uneven. Ava must have told him something, or maybe Celeste herself had panicked enough to call him earlier. Either way, he was here, exactly as expected. Celeste panicked. "Colton, why are you? This isn't Lucas. I swear I didn't tell him to come." She was unraveling, and neither of us had said a word. I remained silent. Colton walked closer, eyes darting between us, jaw tight. "Is this what you wanted?" he said to her. "Dragging me out here?" "Me?" she snapped. "You followed me." They were scrambling, blaming each other, exposing themselves without me lifting a finger. Colton turned toward me. "Look, I'm sorry, man. I don't want any trouble." "You won't get any," I said simply. Celeste stepped between us, voice trembling. "Lucas, don't do this. Don't throw everything away because of one mistake." "One." My voice wasn't loud, but it was enough to make her chest rise and fall in panic. Then I pulled the final sheet of paper from my pocket. A printout Ava gave me. The hotel reservation with both their names. I held it out. Celeste's hand shook. Colton's face dropped. The truth sat between them like a silent bomb. "I didn't expose you," I said quietly. "You exposed yourselves." They didn't speak. They didn't move. They couldn't. Finally, I took a breath and gave Celeste the words she never prepared for. "I'm filing for divorce tomorrow." Her cry cracked through the quiet park. "Lucas, please, we can fix this. Don't do this to us." "There is no us," I said softly. "You ended that the night you chose someone else." She tried to grab my arm. I stepped back. "Lucas, I love you," she screamed. I shook my head. You loved attention. You loved feeling wanted. But you didn't love me. Colton didn't speak. He didn't defend her. He didn't stop her. He simply walked away, leaving her exactly the way she left me. Alone. I turned and walked toward my truck. Celeste's sobs echoed behind me, but they didn't pull me back this time. Because the truth was simple. My revenge wasn't the photo, or the silence, or the confrontation. It was letting her lose everything she took for granted. And the moment I drove away, I felt something I hadn't felt in months. Freedom. Not the kind you chase. The kind you finally reclaim.